The man who ruined my career became my new boss, and his first words to me were, "Try not to cry this time." My blood boiled as I smiled coldly and whispered, "Try not to fall in love with me." He laughed, "Not a chance." But weeks later, he stood outside my apartment, rain-soaked and breathless, whispering, "I think I just made the biggest mistake of my life." My heart pounded as I reached for the door. I was 38 when this started. I worked in marketing at a mid-size firm in Chicago. Nothing flashy, but I loved what I did. I wasn't climbing the ladder fast, but I was steady. My name was being mentioned for a director position opening up. After 10 years of blood, sweat, and weekends sacrificed, I finally saw a future beyond just surviving paycheck to paycheck. Then came Mark. Mark was mid-30s, cocky, charming, and very, very good at networking. Everyone liked him right away. He made people laugh. He brought donuts to meetings. And he always knew what to say in front of the higher-ups. I didn't feel threatened by him at first. He was new. I'd been there longer. He'd even ask me for help now and then. We'd grab coffee, vent about coworkers, swap ideas for campaigns. We became work friends. Or so I thought. About a year into working with him, the position I had been waiting for finally opened up. Marketing director. My boss told me I was a top internal candidate. I felt hopeful for the first time in years. But then weird things started happening. Emails I knew I sent never showed up in threads. Calendar invites I didn't see suddenly became missed meetings. I got called out twice in front of senior management for missing deadlines I had actually met. It was like my work was slowly disappearing. I started second-guessing myself. Was I slipping? Was I burned out? I barely slept. My stomach was in knots every morning. I started arriving 2 hours early, staying 3 hours late. I stopped seeing friends. I stopped going home for the holidays. Then came the final blow. Mark was promoted. The announcement hit like a gut punch. Due to recent challenges with consistency, we've decided to go in a new direction for leadership. That's what they said. I was crushed. I cried in my car for an hour after that meeting. It wasn't just about the title. It was everything I'd given up, every moment I'd worked through birthdays and vacations, suddenly being handed to someone who'd been there barely over a year. The worst part? Mark acted surprised. "I didn't even know they were considering me," he told me. "I'm just as shocked as you are." I wanted to believe him. I really did. But something felt off. A week later, I stayed late at the office. I accidentally saw an email on the shared printer tray, one he printed and forgot to pick up. It was a thread between him and IT. He'd requested access to multiple team members' inboxes for workflow efficiency. Mine was on the list. That's when everything clicked. I went straight to IT. At first, they stonewalled me. But I had a connection there, someone I once helped land the job. After some nudging, they confirmed it. Mark had accessed my email regularly. Forwarded things to himself. Deleted messages. He'd set reminders for meetings, then changed them last minute to make me look like I missed them. I was livid. I gathered what little evidence I could and went to HR. HR did nothing. They told me they couldn't determine malicious intent. That since he was now in a leadership role, he had more flexibility with systems access. I was told to move forward and focus on future opportunities. So I quit. I didn't storm out. I didn't make a scene. I handed in a clean resignation letter and walked away from a place I had poured 10 years into. I couldn't even explain it fully to my family. I just told them it wasn't working anymore. For a while, I was just numb. I applied for jobs, got rejection after rejection. My confidence was shot. I took a lower role at a smaller company, just to get back on my feet. And then, 6 months later, it happened. My new company went through a restructuring. We were acquired by a larger group. We were told a new VP of marketing was coming in to integrate processes. I didn't think much of it. Just another suit from corporate. Until I walked into the introduction meeting. And saw Mark standing at the front. He spotted me instantly. Smirked. Walked over like we were old buddies. And leaned in. His first words? Try not to cry this time. I stared at him. My fists clenched. But I forced a smile. Cold. Calm. I leaned in and whispered, try not to fall in love with me. He laughed. Not a chance. That was 3 weeks ago. Now, I see him in meetings. In hallways. Giving orders. His charm is still there. But now he's watching me closely. Too closely. I started keeping a log of every interaction. I copy myself on every email. I double-check every calendar invite. I will never be caught off guard again. But here's where things got strange. 2 nights ago, there was a knock at my door. It was late. Raining hard. I live alone. I looked through the peephole, and there he was, Mark. Soaked. Breathing heavy. No umbrella. Just standing there like some kind of rom-com idiot. I opened the door a crack. He looked like he'd been running. I think I just made the biggest mistake of my life, he said. That's it. No explanation. Just that. And here I am now, sitting in my apartment, typing this. Wondering what he meant. Wondering if he came to mess with my head again. Or if he was serious. I don't trust him. But part of me wants to know more. I don't know what to do next. Do I let him talk? Do I slam the door? Or do I play along, just long enough to take back control? Let me know what you think. I didn't let him in. I stood there, staring at his soaked face through the cracked door. His shirt clung to his skin, water dripping from his hair. His voice had cracked when he spoke. I think I just made the biggest mistake of my life. I said nothing. He waited. I'm serious, he said. Can I come in? I still didn't move. Then I said, say what you came to say. He looked around like he didn't want anyone to hear. But I didn't care about his secrets anymore. I didn't mean for things to go the way they did at the old company. I was trying to survive too. But I crossed a line. I narrowed my eyes. A line? I asked. You erased my career. You humiliated me. You smiled while I fell apart. His face tightened. His eyes flicked down. That stupid charm he used like armor, it was gone. Finally. I panicked, he said. They were pushing me. I didn't know if I'd make the cut. I needed leverage. I stepped back, still behind the door. You used me for leverage. He nodded, slowly. Like it hurt. I wanted to slam the door in his face. But something stopped me. Not pity. Not curiosity. Control. This time I had the upper hand. You should leave, I said. You're soaking my mat. He blinked, then nodded again and backed away without another word. I closed the door. I didn't sleep that night. The next day at work, I found a note on my desk. No envelope. Just folded paper. My name, written in ink. I looked around. Everyone was at their desks, typing, talking, acting like everything was normal. I opened it. Meet me on the roof. Tonight. 7 p.m. please. I didn't plan to go. But at 6:58, I was in the stairwell, climbing. He was already there. Leaning on the railing. City lights behind him. He didn't say anything right away. Just held out a small black folder. What's this? I asked. Proof. I opened it. Inside were copies of emails. Old IT access logs. Forwarded files. Messages between him and an exec from our old company, someone from HR. I flipped the pages. My name was all over them. Deleted files. Targeted edits. One line stood out, "She'll break eventually. Just give it time." I looked up. Mark was staring at the skyline. "I kept everything," he said. "I knew one day I might need to save myself." I felt sick. "Why give it to me now?" He turned to me. For the first time since I met him, he looked scared. "Because they're doing it again," he said. "What?" "This company. The new exec team. They're playing the same game. New faces, same tactics. And this time, they're targeting you again." My stomach dropped. Apparently, my sudden hiring raised questions. I'd been labeled a risk. I was under observation. Quiet audits had already started on my team. I asked him why he was telling me all this. His answer? "Because I owe you more than an apology. And because I don't know how to stop what I started." The next week was chaos. Every meeting felt like a trap. Every message from upper management felt like it was being dissected behind my back. But now I had that folder. I scanned every page, cataloged it, backed it up 3 times. I even contacted a friend who worked in employment law. I didn't tell her everything, just enough to get her interested. Then something happened I didn't expect. I got called into a meeting with Dana, the new head of HR. She smiled too much. "I've been reviewing your recent work," she said, crossing her legs slowly. "There are some inconsistencies we'd like to discuss." I didn't flinch. "Such as?" She listed vague things. Team morale. Delayed responses. Disengaged behavior. Bull**T. But then she dropped this line, "You've been through a lot, haven't you? Maybe this isn't the right environment for you long term." I looked her dead in the eye. "Is that a threat?" "Of course not," she said, all smiles again. "Just a concern." When I left her office, I walked straight to Mark's. "Who the hell is Dana really?" He didn't blink. "She used to work under the same guy from our last company. Different department. She's part of the same circle." I stepped back. So this was planned. More like recycled. That night, Mark sent me a text. "I have something else you need to see. But if I give you this, there's no going back." I replied, "Then stop holding back." Still no ending. Things are heating up. I'm not sure who I'm working for anymore. But I'm no one's pawn this time. We'll update. The next morning, I found an envelope under my windshield wiper. No name. Just one word written on the front, "Truth." Inside were printed photos. Grainy, zoomed in, but clear enough. They were surveillance shots of me. Coming in and out of my apartment. Leaving work. Sitting at the same cafe twice in the same week. One photo was taken at night through my window. Curtains half drawn. My blood ran cold. Who the hell was watching me? I texted Mark immediately. "Was this you?" He replied in seconds. "Not me. Come to my place. Now." I hesitated. Then I locked up my apartment and left. Mark lived in a loft in the West Loop. Tall ceilings. Sparse furniture. He let me in without saying a word and handed me a flash drive. I plugged it into my laptop. What I saw next nearly made me throw up. It was a video file. Security camera footage. Timestamped 2 weeks ago. The footage showed Dana, the new HR head, in a bar. Sitting across from someone I hadn't seen in years, Ray Lambert. Ray was a former executive at our old company. He resigned right after Mark got promoted. At the time, people whispered it was related to an internal probe. But nothing was ever proven. Now he was back. Sitting with Dana. Laughing. drinking. At one point, she handed him a thick folder. I paused the video and zoomed. On the cover, barely visible, was my name. "What the hell is this?" I asked. Mark didn't look at me. "They're building a case," he said quietly. "They want to ruin your credibility. Probably prep for termination." "Why?" I snapped. "I've done nothing wrong." He didn't answer. I stood there, trembling, breathing hard. "You said they were targeting me." "But this feels personal." "It is," he said finally. "Ray blames you for getting me promoted. He thinks you vouched for me. That you helped me leapfrog the chain." I stared at him. "Did I? You gave me a shot when no one else did. That was enough." I felt sick again. All of this, because I tried to help someone? I looked around his place. Minimalist. Cold. Like a man who never let anyone close. I turned to leave. "I need air." But as I opened the door, someone was standing right there. I jumped back. It was Maya, a former coworker from our old office. Someone I hadn't seen in nearly a year. She looked me up and down and raised an eyebrow. "So it's true," she said. "You two are working together again." Before I could say anything, she stepped inside and shoved a folder into my chest. "I tried warning you back then. But you didn't listen." She walked right past Mark like she owned the place, dropped her purse on his table, and sat down. Mark sighed. "Maya, this isn't the time." She ignored him. "I still have friends in that circle," she told me. "They're planting evidence. Not just to get you fired, but to blacklist you. Industry-wide. They've done it before." I blinked. "What?" "They're tying your name to a past scandal. Data breach. Financial leak. They're going to say you were part of it. After that, you'll never work in this city again." I felt like I was falling. One moment I was rebuilding my life, and the next, I was being erased. All over again. I looked at Mark. "Why would they go this far?" He didn't answer at first. Then he said, "Because they're afraid of you." I laughed. Bitter. "I don't have any power." "You do now," Maya said. She pointed at the flash drive still in my hand. "That footage? That's their weak spot. It links 2 companies. 2 networks. If that gets out, half their board will be investigated." I shook my head. "I don't want a war." "You're already in one," she said. "You just didn't know it." Later that night, I sat in my apartment, lights off, flash drive in my hand. I stared at the photos of myself being watched. Then I pulled out the note again. Truth. I thought back to something Mark said when I first saw him again. "Try not to cry this time." And what I told him back. "Try not to fall in love with me." Now here we were. Me, with proof that could shatter reputations. Him, finally breaking down the walls he built. And somewhere out there, people plotting my destruction. I didn't know who to trust anymore. But I knew this, I wasn't going down quietly. Still no ending. Things are spiraling. And this time I'm not playing defense. Well, update. It all came to a head during the quarterly town hall meeting. The company had rented a fancy event space in downtown Chicago. White lights, rented chairs, those tiny little sandwiches nobody eats. The whole leadership team was on stage, including Mark and Dana. I hadn't planned to say anything. I came to observe, maybe blend into the crowd. But then Dana started talking. "All of us here," she said, "are committed to maintaining transparency and trust. We do not tolerate internal sabotage, misconduct, or disloyalty." It was a direct hit. I looked across the room and saw Mark staring straight at her. His jaw was tight. Hands folded. Then Dana smiled. And that's why we've taken steps to review recent team behaviors and performance risks, including outside influences that threaten our internal values. My phone buzzed. Mark had texted one word, now. I stood up. No mic. No invitation. I just walked to the front of the room and turned around. Some people gasped. A few chuckled nervously. Sorry to interrupt, I said. But if we're talking about transparency, I think we should go all in. Dana looked confused. Then pissed. I held up the flash drive. This contains emails, security logs, and surveillance footage linking current executives in this room to internal data breaches and coordinated sabotage, not just here, but at a previous company. Gasps. Audible ones. Dana stood. This is inappropriate. No, I cut her off. What's inappropriate is watching someone's apartment window. It's manipulating calendars and emails. It's building a fake case to ruin someone's name. The room went still. I saw the CEO shift in his seat. Maya, sitting off to the side, gave me a subtle nod. Mark stood now too. It's all true. I was part of it once. I'm not anymore. The CEO held up his hand. Everyone stay seated. Dana's face turned red. This is ridiculous, none of this can be verified. It can, I said. And if this flash drive suddenly goes missing, don't worry, I made 4 copies. One is already with a lawyer. Silence. I handed the drive to the CEO and walked off stage. Mark followed. Outside, it was raining again. Of course. He caught up to me under the overhang. You didn't have to do that, he said quietly. I did. He was soaked again, just like the night he showed up at my apartment. Same look in his eyes, like a man torn between guilt and longing. I'm sorry, he said. For everything. I looked at him. Really looked. You should be. He blinked. His mouth opened, then closed. I never meant to hurt you like that. Back then, I panicked. I wanted the job. I thought I could fix it later. There's no fixing what you did, I said. You didn't just hurt my career. You humiliated me. You made me doubt myself. You made me small. He took a step closer. I think I loved you, he said. Even then. I laughed once. Bitter. That makes it worse. Back inside, the fallout had started. Dana was being escorted out by security. People whispered. Some glared at me. Others gave tight nods. No one said a word out loud. The CEO announced an internal audit. An external review. Temporary leadership changes. Mark wasn't fired. But he wasn't spared either. He was asked to take leave pending further evaluation. As he passed me, suitcase in hand, he stopped. Do you hate me? I shook my head slowly. No. That'd be too easy. He nodded. Walked away. In the days that followed, everything felt quieter. Maya stopped by my desk and handed me a latte. You handled that like a damn movie, she said. I feel like I aged 10 years. You probably did. We laughed. And then she got serious. Don't go back to trusting too easy, she warned. But don't let this ruin you either. Weeks passed. HR got a full overhaul. My name was cleared, officially, this time. I was promoted to a strategy role. Not director. But something close. It felt earned. Mark emailed me once. Leaving the city. Starting over. Maybe I'll learn how to be better. I didn't reply. Sometimes I still catch myself looking over my shoulder. Still triple-check my calendar invites. Still wake up sweating from dreams of missed deadlines and empty inboxes. But I also sleep better. Because I fought back. Because I didn't stay quiet. Because I learned that not everyone who smiles with you is on your side. And sometimes the person who betrays you the worst is the one who once asked you to coffee. I'm not healed. But I'm not broken either. And maybe that's enough for now.